Hola Comadres, welcome to another episode of Comadreando podcast. I'm your host Marcy, and today we have an amazing guest, Florencio. I will let him introduce himself. Who are you?
Well, thank you, Marcy, for having us, or having me rather. Florencio Flores Palomo. I am the executive director and founder of Reach Academy, which has been founded for the last 7 years, which is a Learn To program which geared to special needs children. We do swimming, and this fall we're expanding to art and move and some other fun programs here in Brooklyn and in the Bronx.
Awesome. So, I connected with Florencio because my friend from work, actually my mentor, put me on to Reach Swim, and she was like, "So you don't have my baby in swimming?" I'm like, "What program is there in the Heights or the Bronx that I can take him to?" So she told me about Reach Swim, and I went to the program for the first time, and I literally fell in love. I saw how the teachers were working with the students, how the kids were so happy to be there. Aiden acclimated right away. So I was like, yeah, this is definitely somewhere that Aiden needs to be. And with that being said, today's topic is extracurricular activities for kids with special needs. And the reason why the topic came up is because we have actually mentioned this program before on the show, and a lot of the comadres have been reaching out looking for things to do with their children that will enrich them in a different way. So this program supports our kids and enriches their lives, and swimming is like one of those things, one of the skills that they definitely need. Yes. And we're going to talk about why it's important. Okay, and that is pretty much it. We're going to get into the topic. So what is your profession?
My profession is, I've been working in recreation for the last 30 years, specifically the last 25 years in aquatics. Moved myself up from an aide, a recreation aide, all the way up to being directors of not only my programs of the city I'm from in Nebraska, but as well aquatic directors in various programs here in New York City. And now after doing that, after 18 years of doing that and wanting to do a lot more, make a stronger impact with the special needs community, 7 years ago I resigned from my job and took a leap of faith and invested all my savings to start Reach and really bring together the right instructors and the right vibe to create a program that's geared to our kids that not only oftentimes are left out, but oftentimes are not, they don't have an outlet to really express themselves the way they need to. And sadly, they don't have enough instructors out there who have been guided in the right way and working with them and bringing out their best. And that's why I started Reach. And, I'm very happy that we did. It's been a lot of fun. And it's been very rewarding, especially seeing the kids like Aiden achieve what they didn't think was possible.
Yes. So what made you decide to pursue that career?
As far as recreation goes, it was, a fluke. And, I say this and I smile and I laugh oftentimes because although growing up we were athletic, we didn't have much funds to do many extracurricular activities. Mm-hmm. Because we were working on the farm mostly to support our family, but being able to join any type of extracurricular activity just wasn't on our family budget. Mm-hmm. So, but we were athletic. Running around from my brothers and sisters helped us a lot.
Yeah.
But I found this niche as far as recreation when I was in college. I needed to find a way to help me make a little bit of extra money and help pay for college. And so I became friends with some people, and they're like, this is something that you'd be really good at. Still didn't think it was something for me. I had happened to move to LA for a semester to see if I could go to school out there. Mm-hmm. And I walked into this really huge, I thought it was a mall, but it happened to be an athletic center. I was looking for a food court, and, they said, this must be fate because this is not a food court, but would you like to sign up for our gym membership? And I said, sure, why not? And I actually got a connection with some of the instructors there, and they're like, you should take this class. You really should, be involved more in fitness. But my time in LA, came to a close, and I moved back to Nebraska, and I was like hungry for this. I'm like, there's this new way of working out in LA, and I want to find it here. And Nebraska, they're like, that's not what we do here. But I was like, let me do this. Let me show you this new step classes and what we can do. And one of my first bosses said, hey, if you can figure it out and you want to bring it to Nebraska, here you go. And so that kind of started it again by fluke 30 years ago. And here I am.
So wait, you didn't tell us the story. Like, how did you get into the swimming?
Oh, the swimming. Well, that happened a few years later. Being in recreation, I had already been in recreation a few years, and I was doing after school programs for kids.
Yeah.
And it was back in Nebraska, and I found out through actually a friend of mine. They said, the city is actually hiring for a recreational director, and it seems like you'd be really good with it. You're already working there, and you already know the kids. So I approached my boss, and they said, yeah, let's interview for it. So they asked me about my background in recreation, what I wanted for the future, my connection with the kids. They already knew it was pretty strong, and they gave me the job. Part of the job was that I had to manage 2 pools as well as manage all the swim lessons that were being conducted at both sites. So at the end of the summer, they said, you did really, really good, but why weren't you in the water? And I was like, oh, I can't swim. And they were like, wait, what do you mean you can't swim? I said, I'm terrified of the water. I said, I nearly drowned as a little boy. That's why you don't see me in the pool. That's why you see me directing the classes from, the pool deck. And, the look on my boss's face was like, oh, who did we just hire? And this was Labor Day, actually. And she says, the pools are closed for the summer. You have till next May to learn how to swim, or else you lose the job.
Oh my God.
They said, we did not know. It says, you never asked me. You never asked me if I could swim. And so I had to take a lifeguarding course with a bunch of high school students. And I was 26 at the time. And the saving grace was all these students would be my future employees. I'd be their boss. So they didn't make fun of me that much. So they were helping me as much as I could. But I was terrified. I was like, I can't do this. Nearly drowning when I was 3 years old. And that's why I think I can relate to a lot of these kids. That stays with you. So as soon as I would put my face in the water, the memories of being dragged, jokingly, I always say I was dragged for a mile. I was probably dragged for like 10 feet in the water. Again, I was not listening to my parents, and I was playing too close to the river by the farm, and I fell in, and terrified of more of what was going to happen to me from my parents than the actual drowning itself. But it was a very terrifying experience.
Yeah.
And stayed with me until I was 26. And even my father joked with me. He's like, this is the best time to get over this fear, because you're not going to lose that job.
Yeah.
You got to keep it. So it took me a while. And the first 2 instructors that they brought to me were confused. They're like, how can you not know how to swim? This is ridiculous. Put your face in the water and just get over it. And they didn't realize the emotional trappings it was, nearly drowning and being embarrassed, and it was terrifying. And finally my boss came to me, and she's like, there's one woman who I want to introduce you to. She's actually the woman who was in your job prior to you having it, but she's a paraplegic now. She's been injured. She can't get in the water, but I want you to speak with her. And her name was Judy Hewitt. So she came one day, and she got out of her van, and she had her 2 crutches on her, and she's like, so I hear you can't swim. I hear you're afraid and you need to keep this job. And so she said she was going to help me. She says, I'm not going to get in the water because I can't jump in the water for you. You're going to be safe. It's going to be shallow. And you just need to listen to me and believe me. And she goes, I know you're afraid, but let it go. And in that couple of minutes of interaction with her, something just happened. And I kind of just, gave in to her and just melted. And over the course of 6 months, she taught me how to swim just by the words that she was using, and little things like, okay, turn your head this way, or you're putting your head looking down too low, and little things that I catch myself telling our kids now. And it was those little things that made a huge difference. And the most interesting thing is, about in 6 months, we have a graduation, and we have to go to the bottom of the pool and get this 12-pound rubber brick from the pool and bring it back to the surface, kind of like imitating if a child was at the bottom of the pool. So I go down there, and it took me these 6 months to do it. And I go to the pool, and I grab it, and I'm showing her what I just did. And she grabs it out of my hand, and she throws it back down, and she goes, no, do it again. And I was like, I just did. It took me 6 months, but it was that little type of teaching that taught me that, I guess what she's doing, she's wanting me to push it to the next level. And so that's how I started with that. And the most beautiful thing about that moment as well is, after I got out of the pool. And she's like, you graduated, now you get your little certificate. You get to keep your job. She says, I have a request for you. I have a favor to ask of you. I said, of course, anything. And she goes, come back on Sunday and help me with this group that I'm going to be working with. I think you'd be great with them. Mm-hmm. And so I came back that Sunday, and it was the Nebraska chapter of the Special Olympics. And there were kids from ranging 6 to probably young adults, like 20, 21. And I think there was maybe around 6 of them. And they thought it was funny that I couldn't swim, and that they were faster than me, and they were racing me, and they're like, let's just race him again because he's no good, and we're going to win with him. And I had a great time because I really, really loved it. And they only would come like once every 3 months because it was a really small program. So they were like, okay, well, next time we come back, we're going to race again. And I really did look forward to it. And Judy, at the end of the day, she goes, how did you like it? I said, I loved it. I really did. She goes, this is your niche. This is your calling. She goes, I can see it in your face. I can see what you're doing. You're going to have a career in aquatics with special needs children. And I was like, I barely learned how to swim. This woman's crazy, mm-hmm. And little did I know, 30 years later, here I am, doing what she prophesied all those years ago. And if it wasn't for a woman who had special needs herself, who helped me get over my fear, I wouldn't have the career I have now. And now I'm taking what she gave me and I'm teaching kids, and her memory lives on. And to me, it's a blessing. So when people ask me, how did you find this career? It found me. And mm-hmm. I'm very blessed to have not only been able to answer that call, but to be able to say that I've been living that call for the last 25, 30 years. It's a good blessing. I'm really happy to have it.
Yeah. I know Judy's looking down on you and like so proud of you.
I hope so.
So yeah, like you told us what is Reach Academy, yes. Right?
Yes.
Why special needs kids? Because like easily, I mean, we know part of the reason why, right? Because of what Judy asked you, but like, easily you could have been like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
But what is it about working with special needs kids that you find fulfilling?
Well, I think being, if I look at it as from the New York stance of it, about 2 years after Judy taught me, I moved to New York mm-hmm. To pursue my career, and I was always like the outsider. This guy from Nebraska. Why are you here in New York? And and New York can be a pretty scary place. Yeah, and you had to toughen up really, really quickly. And then to say you're Latino, and they're like, wait, you don't look like any Latino from New York. Where are you from? So I was always felt like the outsider. So when I had an opportunity to teach kids who were left alone, who were not necessarily taken in, I felt like one of them. Mm-hmm. And I felt that connection. And then after a while, you kind of stop looking at the diagnosis. You kind of stop looking at the disability, and you're like, this is just a person, a child who wants to learn. And in doing that, I found a connection to the whole community, because it's like you said, it's very easy for you to teach. I shouldn't say easy. It's the opportunity to teach typical children and to work with the typical community is you can walk out the door and find any job to do that. Mm-hmm. But to work with a community that's been left, mm-hmm. disadvantaged and had pushed aside, and then to bring something out of them, you just feel like you're doing more in life than just working. I mm-hmm. feel like you're actually changing. And to make it a little bit more deeper, I feel as if in giving my life and giving my time to kids and people who otherwise people have left behind, I'm actually making something of my life a little bit bigger. Mm-hmm. And really, answering to a call that not many people were asked of. And you could either look at it like, why was I put in this position? Or you can look at it as, thank God I was put in this position. How can I rise up to it? Mm-hmm. The other thing is I'm named after an uncle who was killed in the Korean War, who I never got to meet. And I always heard about him. And I thought, this is a man who literally gave his life at 18 years old for my freedoms. Mm-hmm. And I thought, that's a big burden to carry, so I thought, in order to me to carry his name and to do it some honor, I need to hold up to his standard and hopefully make the name as powerful as it can, mm-hmm. and give to all those that I can in ways that he was not able to. And so there's many different things that keeps me going. But the main thing as well is when you're working with special needs kids, I mean, how can you not? I mean, you look at the love they give, and it's so authentic. And you look at the parents, you look at the families. How can you not get joy from working with them? You know, and I'll say this, and I don't want to sound anti-typical, because that's definitely not what I do, but they're better athletes than most of our typical children.
Yeah.
Our special needs kids who can swim, they are tearing it up. They are phenomenal. And after a point, it's a lot easier to teach them, because they just want more and more and more, and they just suck it up like a sponge. And I love seeing it. I love seeing their excitement that they accomplish things that they didn't even think, things that I didn't even think I could do. You know, they're doing incredibly well.
Yeah. So I feel like that was part of the reason why I decided to go into special education myself, because like, reflecting when I was deciding on my major, when I was doing my master's, reflecting on the teachers that I recall working with kids with special needs in the schools that I was in, which I wasn't in any of those classrooms, but, you know, I don't remember seeing anybody that looked like me.
Yeah.
And that had the same, you know, love for the craft of teaching that I had. So for me, it was just like natural. I'm like, I want to be different. I don't want to be like these other teachers that I've seen all my life. So yeah, I love working with special needs kids as well.
It's really nice. You know, it's a good feeling.
So what inspired you to create the REACH program itself?
Well, in working in New York City, and when I first came here, I was working at private clubs, and just, again, we'll call it fate or a calling. A lot of parents started coming to me and saying, we hear that you can work with kids who are having difficulty in other group classes. And so I would work with them, and little by little, I got this following, and everywhere I went, they're like, oh, Florencio's now here. You know, we got to come here. And everywhere I'd go, I'd say, okay, I want to create this program for special needs kids. And either they're like, no, it's not in the budget. I'm like, but you don't have to spend any money. Just give me one lane, give me one day, give me one afternoon, and let me do this. Well, no, we don't know. And what if they don't know how to swim? I'm like, I will teach them. Trust me. Let me do it. So I would only get so far everywhere I would teach at, and be like, okay, you can't do it anymore. Or, you know, we're not going to let you do this anymore. We're going to use the lane for something else. And so I'd get frustrated. I'd move on to the other job. And the last job I was at, before they hired me, I said, I want X, Y, and Z. And this is what we're going to do with special needs children and the program. And either you say yes, or I'm not going to work for you. They're like, okay, you got it. The only thing we say is if it fails, we're going to cut it, and you can't complain. I was like, nope, it's not going to fail, so no problem. So about 6 months later, it was a huge success, and exactly what I wanted to do. My staff was loving it. The kids were having fun. And then they said, well, we want to start charging them more. I'm like, you can't do that. So that's illegal. You cannot charge them more. They're like, well, it's such a success. How do we make more money off of it? It's not about money. It's about changing people's lives. I said, so we can add more days, and we can, instead of just doing one day, we can do it other days, but you can't charge them more. I will not tolerate that. And I don't think they really like that, you know, but it was my program, and I had it in the contract. You can't do anything unless I was one of the smartest things that I've thought of. Like, put in the contract, say, this is mine. You can't mess with it. So, but I saw that, again, there was once again an obstacle put in front of me. And at that time, there was a big case of Avante Okino, who had left his school, I believe, in Queens, and he went into the river and he drowned. And there was another little boy in South Carolina who went to go visit a little boy on the spectrum, who went to go visit his grandmother, I believe, and walked outside and fell into a river and drowned as well. And I remember it being the holiday, the New Year's holiday, and I remember thinking, okay, I need to do something more with what I want to do with working with special needs kids. And I said, I got to resign. I got to start my own program. And it took a little while, but I got a really good, you know, center in my life. And I really got to the place where I'm like, is this something I really want to do? Because if you're going to do it, you need to do it 100%. So about a few months later, I went into my bosses and I resigned. And I said, I didn't tell them why. I just said, you know, moving on to other things. I did tell my staff, and my staff said, you leave, we leave. So they resigned with me, and they started REACH with me. And that's why I started REACH, because so many people were saying no to me. And at that moment, I thought, either you have to be complacent with the fact that you're going to hear no the rest of your life, or you need to make your own move and fail at making your own move, or live a life by hearing no. So which one do you want to, what's going to set well in your heart? And so I thought, let me take this leap of faith. So I resigned, put all my money into Reach, and I'm really glad I did. It wasn't easy. It still has its heartaches, but I'm really, really proud of what we've accomplished. And I don't know if you want me to tell this real quick story. But,
go.
The name Reach, people ask me where it comes from, and it comes from a song by Gloria Estefan. She did it for the Special Olympics, for the Typical Olympics in 1996, I believe. And I had moved back from LA, like I said, to come back to Nebraska and work and figure out what I want to do with my life. This was before I got the job, at the pool. And my mother had seen me, and she comes up to me one day, and she had the Gloria Estefan CD with her, and she said, I haven't seen you smile in a while, but the other day when you saw that video, you were really smiling, so I got you the CD. Back in the day when you can get CDs, I got you the CD, so whenever you are down, just listen to this. And so it was Reach. And the title of the CD is called Destiny. And I've always listened to it, and I've always loved that. And when it came time to choosing a name for Reach, I had resigned from my job. It was like a month after I resigned. I was looking at my finances, looking at how much everything was going to cost. And I got up in the middle of the night and I was like, oh God, what did I just do? What did I just do? And I knew I had to make the right choice, but I was really nervous.
Yeah.
And it was 3:00 in the morning and I hear some music playing and I'm like, what is going on? And I had a little home office and I said, I must have left my music on. Let me go turn it off. Because again, I hear my father's voice in my head saying, better turn that music on unless you pay for the electric bill. So I go in, and on the radio was playing Reach by Gloria Estefan.
Oh my God.
Which was a song that I was told, whenever you're down, listen to that. And I said, there it is, Reach Academy. That's what I want our kids to do. I want them to reach for more and more than they ever reached for in their life. And it just resonated with me. And I thought, okay, as long as I keep that focus and reach and really start reaching, whether it's reaching for somebody's child when they need my help, or if me reaching deeper within myself to find that strength, I can do it. And it's almost like a mantra. And so I want people, when they think about Reach Academy, it's not just about swim, but what can you reach for? What can kids reach for? As a parent, how can you reach further to help your kid? Maybe you need that person to reach for you. So at any given time, I think in somebody's life, you either need to be reached to, or you can reach for somebody. And I think that's the mantra I want Reach to go to. And I was very happy that 2 years after I started Reach, I wrote Gloria Estefan, and I said, hey, look, I started a swim academy based off your song. Can I use your song on my website? Not expecting anything. And so she wrote back and she said, I'm honored.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy. And so I saved the little thing and she goes, you can use my music you can use my music for your website. You have my permission.
Oh my God.
And I thought, okay, now I just need her to come actually visit,
That'd be amazing.
But I say that story because I want people to know out there, wherever you are in life, whether it be really living high or really in your lows, look deep inside yourself and look for the signs that life is going to send you. Because when you least expect it, you're going to get the sign you need. And when you get that sign, regardless of what anybody else is saying to you, even your own doubt, just go for it. Because life knows what it's doing. And if you follow your gut and follow your heart and your passion, as you always say, you're going to be okay.
And Florencio is a true example of somebody who's aligned in his purpose, right? The way that things have happened for you, not that they have been easy, but the way that things just fall into place. And even now, the things that are happening now, you can tell that you're in your niche and that you're not, you're on your path of what you're supposed to be doing here on earth, which is amazing.
Well, thank you for it does feel good. Like you said, it's not easy. That doesn't mean things come easier for you. But at the end of the day, you can at least sigh a sense of relief saying, but I'm doing it. And I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So thank you. Yes.
So, what have been some of the most memorable moments during the program?
So many moments. I want to. One of the key moments is we have a little boy, JJ. We call him JJ. His name's Jonathan. He was nonverbal up to age, I want to say 4. He started with the program he was 2.5. He said his first words at reach. He was swimming. We finally let him swim about 4 feet unassisted. He got to the wall. He looked at his mom and he said, "I did it." Raised his fist and said, "I did it." And we're looking at each other. We're like, "Did he just speak?" And the mother, his mom, Jennifer, is like, "Yeah, he just spoke." I said, "For the first time today?" She's like, "For the first time ever." And he said it so clearly and so beautifully. And we're like, "This is crazy." And now, we were just with him the other day, and you literally can have a conversation with him and it's nonstop.
Oh my
And he's
God.
doing really, really well. He's swimming really well. And you think if that little kid could have that type of moment, I don't know what brought that out of him. You just think of what else can love and acceptance and allowing a kid to grow bring out of something else. So that's one of the major ones. Our kids being on the Today Show, we were able to go on the Today Show with the Olympians to talk about swim safety.
Oh my gosh.
And it was interesting because it's no fault to the Today Show, but of course they knew we were the only program there who had special needs children. And so they're very cautious, well, are they going to be okay? Is there anything that's going to trigger them? I was like, no, they're really well behaved. You don't have to worry about them. And it was our kid and I think 6 other typical kids from other swim programs. And the Olympians kept coming to our kids to show, how the kids should be swimming during the commercial breaks and whatnot, because it was our kids was the one who was listening the most and the most well behaved. I was like, there you go. And it was really, really good to be able to see a kid who didn't know how to swim, who was on the spectrum. And they didn't say this kid's on the spectrum, but to see a kid in any typical situation around being surrounded by Olympians. And I don't even know if Riley understood what he was going through, but like, this kid, you have like 6 gold medal Olympians around you on national TV talking about other kids having swim safety in their mind, and you're getting it from a child that's on a spectrum. So all that is really good. And also seeing just the happiness, our kids hugging each other when they see each other and making friends, our parents making friends and making acquaintances, and they're meeting up now. Now they have play dates. So it's all that makes me really, really, really happy to see that. And most recently being able to expand to Brooklyn, to be able to say, not only are we in the Bronx now, we're also in Brooklyn. And again, for this chubby little Mexican boy who nearly drowned in Nebraska, to be able to come to New York and have success in an industry that is not really dominated by Latinos, as well as in a business that is for kids who are told, why don't you just do it for typical kids? You're going to make more money. And you're like, it's not about the money. But to see that and to have that today is another one of the great things that I think I look back on it and I'm very proud of.
Yes, I love it. How have you seen the children grow over time?
I think the main thing is confidence. Their confidence. We get kids who will come to us the first few days and they'll be looking down. They won't give us eye contact, or they won't necessarily speak to somebody else. And by now that they're like friends, they're communicating with other instructors, communicating with other kids. This beautiful thing happened this past Sunday. It was our last lesson of the season. And we have a kid who swims really, really well. I don't know if I can mention names on here. And he swims very, very, very well. And he's 12 years old. And I said, I want to see something. I said, can you be my co-teacher? He's like, sure. I said, so this group is a group that was swimming before you, and they're going to learn what you've learned. Can you give them pointers, and can you be my little judge to see if they've passed to go on to the next level?
Oh my God.
And I was just expecting it for fun. No, he was like, okay, you need to put your head down a little bit more. And when your arms come out of the water, make sure that you comes all the way out of the water so you can get a better grip of the. And I'm like, where did this kid know that? And he's like, and when you pick up your head, you're picking your head up too fast. You pick up your head too fast, you're not going to get a good breath. And remember those kicks. Don't stop kicking. And I'm looking at, my other teachers. I'm like, where'd this kid come from? And it was so beautiful because to think a kid who with autism, when we first met him, who was shy, who wasn't speaking, now he's good enough to actually be on our staff to hopefully teach. I mean, that's pretty amazing. It's exactly what I want Reach to be. Because not only are we teaching kids how to swim now, and I'm totally 100% sure this kid's going to be, he's only 12, so in a few more years he'll be working for us. But to see a child on the spectrum teach another child on the spectrum, and then to have that connection, I mean, it's just beautiful. Really,
oh my
beautiful.
God, that's so awesome. I love it.
Really cool.
So you have to have a magic sauce to work at Reach. So what is it that you look for when you're looking for your staff? Like, is there anything in particular that you look for when you're hiring?
Well, the main thing, and I always say this to people, is if somebody were to come to me and say, I don't know how to swim, I don't know how to teach, I'm like, I'll still hire you because I didn't know how to swim or teach when I got the job. Don't be afraid of the water because we can't put you in the water. But I'm looking for somebody who has that sensibility, that patience, that heart, who's not looking for a job, but looking to make a difference in somebody's life. And somebody usually helps when they have somebody in their family or in their familiar circle that has special needs. Because when they have that, they're already coming into the program understanding what they need to do. And somebody who also, regardless of where they came, because there used to be a time where we'd hire people and they're like, we have 25 years of coaching and swimming. I'm like, that's irrelevant to me. That means absolutely nothing to me. How many years do you have working with child with special needs? What's the connection you have? And that is what I'm looking for. Somebody who can connect to a child, somebody who can get to their level both physically and emotionally, and somebody who's willing to throw out all the rules so they can make new rules for each child. And that it's not a cookie cutter. It's not trying to find the perfect puzzle to pieces. Sometimes making your own puzzle, making your own shape, and being flexible. And that is what I'm looking for. And it sounds like it'd be very easy to find, but it really isn't.
No.
Especially when we know the standard that we've kept with Reach and the standard now our families expect from us. And the one thing I love about, many things I love about my families, they'll be the first one to tell us, what's up with that one over there? That person is not as, they're very kind, our families, but I expect that from them. I want our families to say, look at Florencio, we meet you right here and you need to stay up here. So somebody who can actually, fit in with my team as well. I'm very happy to say that most of the people that we hire, they fit in pretty much right away. And sometimes I can be a little bit off on certain people, but fortunately, we've been pretty lucky. And before anybody actually comes to the pool, I've already weeded them out and sniffed them out and make sure that they were okay. But of course, above all else, they need to have consistency. They need to have somebody who's on patient and somebody who wants to be on time and somebody who wants to work every weekend. Even that is a rarity sometimes. But I'm very lucky, and I think I always say I'm praying to our Reach gods or our Reach angels to bring us who we need. And unfortunately, we have that. And that's why a lot of people may wonder, how can we keep our program small? Because I've always said I'm more interested in the quality of our lessons than the quantity of our students. So when people call and I say we're sold out, it's not because we don't want to bring any more people in. It's just because we have to start with the foundation of the right instructors. And if we don't have enough instructors to give you what I think is the best, we're going to cut classes and make it a smaller program.
Yeah. Okay. I love it. So usually when I'm getting to know Aiden's teachers, I always so what made you go into special education? Right. So I feel like I have that little, I do the little sniffing too, because usually when people have people with special needs in their family, they have more of a sensibility and also they hold them to a higher standard. It's not like, oh, pobrecito, it's more like, I know you can do this. You got this, and they'll push them more to achieve their goals and be successful in the long run.
Yeah, definitely. Because you can't, the one thing that I think people have to understand, and it takes usually my newer staff to understand this, is don't coddle them. They're not fragile. push them even harder than you would a typical child, because sometimes they need that structure. And I think sometimes when they look at me, and some instructors are like, I'm not going to help him. Don't help him. He can do it. He can do it. He can do it. And it may look like we're being mean. I was like, no, because you have to bring that out of them. I think so many people want to hold them a little tighter, or feel like, okay, let me put a safety net all the way around you so you'll never get hurt. I'm like, they're not going to get hurt. We're never going to let them get hurt. But we need to break through that barrier of security, so they can be stronger individuals, as well as we can teach them more.
Yeah. So, I'm looking at my notes. Okay. What is the most fulfilling part of your job? Either on a weekly basis or day to day, like, what do you find fulfilling?
I think, on a day to day, it's just a matter of literally being able to go home and saying, I'm doing what I love. I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't have to hear, you can't do that. The only person who says that is me. And so I try to avoid saying that. And the other thing that I love is on a weekly basis, see my team when they're teaching, and see how excited they are to teach. And, on the ride home from Bronx to Brooklyn, there's about 6 of us who live in Brooklyn. Hear the little stories that they say, oh, did you see so-and-so do this today? Oh, did you see how great this kid was doing today? And to hear that, and to hear the excitement out of their voices as I get it, because I always tell them, I said, I'm cheesy, I'm a big silly kid at heart, but to see them get excited for it, that makes me really happy, as well as, hearing, like you said, when Aiden says, I want to go swimming, I can't wait to come back to swimming. And when we have kids who not only look forward to coming to our program, but get excited about that. And as you know, as a mother, it's not easy to get a child excited for something.
Yeah.
But we can instill that excitement and that sense of joy in a child's life. That's really, that makes me happy.
Yeah. So, okay. All right. So, what do you envision for Reach in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, what I would love Reach to have is our own center. I mean, I'm very happy with this Brooklyn site right now. It just doesn't have a pool. But I would hope within the next 5 years we would have our all-inclusive academy center, which would have access to a pool, our own pool, at least 6 classrooms, if not more, a gymnasium, so that way we can do our more extracurricular and move programs as well. And of course, for parents, a parking with a parking lot and a parents' lounge. So we can also have workshops for them. We can do events there, but have its own standalone site that parents can go feel safe at, have easy access to, and that our staff can have more stronger career. I can offer full-time jobs to more of our people, as well as our families in the community, as well as mentorships for our kids who are 14, 15, and 16, so they can start working as well. So that's how I envision Reach in the next 5 years. And that's what I'm going to start working. That's what we started working this summer on. And that's what hopefully within 5 years we'll have, definitely.
Yeah. So we haven't said it specifically, but we are recording live from their news offices in Brooklyn, which are beautiful. And you guys are planning so many great things, which I'm not going to spill the beans. So you guys have to be paying attention to Reach's Instagram. But definitely, you're giving a gift not only to the kids, but to the parents as well. And the fact that you're giving them safety and you're basically saving their lives, because I don't know if people know, the comadres know, but drowning accidents are one of the top reasons where children on the spectrum, unfortunately, meet an early demise. So it's important for your kids to learn how to swim, and what other better place than Reach Academy?
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. And it's true. I think the sad thing is kids on the spectrum are attracted to water a lot more than other typical kids. And our kids on the spectrum don't have that sense of safety boundaries. And they're not going to look at a lake or a river or a pool and know the difference between 2 feet, 3 feet, 6 feet, 10 feet. And we need to get them prepared so that way, if they are in those situations, that they can save themselves. And that's why we call our program and our curriculum our Swim Safe program. We're not looking for the next Michael Phelps. We're not looking to make them a champion swimmer, or we're not even concerned about swim team. We want them to be swim safe, because regardless of how it looks, and I always say this, it doesn't have to look pretty. It has to be able to be a situation where somebody falls in, they make it to the other side, they make it to safety, the other side of the pool, or turn around and grab the wall. And I've been saying this for years. If somebody fell into the pool and then they saved themselves, there's nobody in this world who's going to say, oh, your stroke wasn't good enough, or you took too many breaths. They just want to make sure you're safe. Yeah. And I think over the years, that's what parents come to us for. We just want to know our babies are safe, that if, God forbid, they fall into the water, or they're at a water park, or they're with somebody who isn't that attentive, they're being able to not only save themselves, but prevent them from drowning. And drowning situations can happen a lot faster than a lot of people think. Yes. They can literally happen right in front of your eyes and you're not realizing it. So it's very important. It's very important for our kids, typical and special needs, but specifically our kids on the spectrum, to at least be swim safe. And again, it's not about making them the proficient swimmers that they can be, but just making them swim safe, which does include getting them used to getting their face in the water, getting them used to submerged in the water. Because if we don't do that, then we're not preparing them for the worst. And sadly, that's what we have to do. But it's possible. So all of your comadres out there who have kids or nieces or nephews or friends who have children on the spectrum, whether it be Reach or somebody else, get them into swimming, get them to be swim safe. Yes. The sooner you start, the better. We see kids who are swimming now at 2-3 years old and are really proficient at 4 and 5 year olds. The longer you wait, just like I did when I was 26, it took a longer time for me to learn. The longer you wait, the longer we have got to break down in order for us to break through. So we want to make sure that you get them swimming early. And there's certain clues that you want to do with or certain guidelines you want to do when you're looking for a good program. Ask if the director's there all the time. Ask how long the directors have been involved with working with special needs children. Ask the ratio of students to teacher. I'm very proud to say Reach from the beginning has been have the best ratio of students to teacher in the city. We have 3 kids max. I personally arrange every single class, so they're all with the same needs and same dispositions and same temperaments. Yes. And more importantly, make sure that the kids who are in a group lesson, that instructor is going to be with them throughout the 10 or 8 weeks, whatever they are. I have a rule that if one of my instructors is out for any reason, either myself or my director takes over, and we teach the classes. There's been sometimes this pandemic that unfortunately we've had to make some changes, but we always make the changes for a stronger instructor taking over rather than just changing with some new instructor all the time. And we always try to introduce our kids to new instructors so that way they're not strangers to them. Yeah. So very important you guys keep that in mind when you're looking for a program. Yeah, I feel like one of the most important things that Reach offers is consistency. Okay. So you can have one instructor for this season, right? The following season, your kid's not going to get a stranger. They're going to have somebody that they've been seeing in the pool, not necessarily working with them. And sometimes it might be the same instructor, but for sure you're going to have the consistency in the fact that Florencio's always going to be there. There's going to be an assistant director there, and then that your instructor is somebody that your child has been seeing for the past couple of weeks already. Yeah. So it's not going to be a complete stranger, off the street. Yeah, exactly. Even what I do is, let's say an instructor's class isn't there, and sometimes some kids, the whole class doesn't show up. Rather than the instructor getting out and just relaxing, I'm like, go mingle with the other kids so that we don't know it. So that way, even if they don't teach, Aiden, somebody else will know that, oh yeah, that's Aiden. We always talk to them. They're like, did you see this kid? This is and so forth. We like to make a community. We would like it to be a family. So that way, again, it's not a stranger teaching you, but it's like, oh, I used to have Jonathan, but now I have Florencio. The funny thing is, though, is some kids, I don't know why, they're just like, I don't want the old man next to me that they're afraid of me. So I'm like, I keep my distance for a lot of them. And I was like, hey, you don't like me, it's okay. They'll either turn their face. And that's, as an instructor, I laugh at it. I'm like, hey, if they don't, for whatever reason, they don't jive with me and they want me away from them, that works as long as somebody's making them comfortable. There was a little boy for, I would say, 2 years, he would not talk to me. And then one day he just ran to me and he's like, Florencio. And I was like, oh, well, what did I do differently? And so it's funny because I always ask, his name's Christian. I said, so Christian, did you ever not like me? No, I've always loved you. I'm like, okay.
Aww, okay.
Like, it's always knowing that and not taking it too personal. So when you see us on deck, parents, and you come to me and you wonder why does Florencio always go to all the other kids, or why does he make it a point to know all the kids or introduce other instructors to him? It's because eventually they're going to teach your kids. And I don't want it to be a situation where they're confused or they don't know that person. I want them to understand that whether it be Kenneth, Kenny, Jonathan, Eric, or Nick teaching you, it's all one family.
Yeah. So I want to kind of give my little my Reach swim story. So Aiden had started taking he had already done, I think, 2 seasons, and we went to Dominican Republic, and he actually ran at the pool and went to the deep end of the pool. And I'm like, I'm not a strong swimmer, which you know already. So I'm like running after Aiden, right? And the whole family, like everybody's trying to chase him, but he's so fast. And he ends up getting into like the deepest part of the pool. But because he learned swim safety, he knew how to get himself into the pool. Even though he dove down and I was like freaking out, he was able to come back up. So it's important, guys, because the thing is, like, you never know. Like, Aiden tries to pretend that the bathtub is the pool sometimes as well. So he'll like fill up the bathtub. It's just like another precaution. Not only that, but then a lot of the moms, like Stephanie, Bielka, they have all like given such testimonies to the way that their children have changed after taking swimming lessons with Reach. And, I want that for all of our kids. We should be able to have them participate in extracurricular activities that are going to enrich them. And not only that, but then help them grow as individuals as well. Because it's not so much the swim safety, it's fine. Whatever. But it's how they grow as individuals and who they become after taking the classes with Reach.
Yeah, and again, swim is very, very important. That's the heart of what we do at Reach Swim. But when you see kids make friends and become social, you've mentioned some of our kids who used to not talk at all to other kids, who are now in group lessons and they're thriving in group lessons, and they're doing really well. And that social aspect of it is really important as well. That's why I wanted to expand to other things, because I thought, what if we take that same idea and we put it to land, and now we expand their horizons and doing more stuff, and now they can socialize and communicate on a different level. And if we combine those classes with typical kids, maybe we can create a community in which nobody's being judged as much, nobody's being bullied as much, and more importantly, our kids who are on the spectrum can have more confidence. We have amazing kids who are amazing swimmers, and they can't walk around with videos saying, but look at me, don't make fun of me because look at how well I swim. But maybe if there's a situation with typical kids that are more on land, and then they'll start breaking down more barriers, because unfortunately there's not that many opportunities for kids to compete at swimming as you would think, but there's so many more opportunities for them to compete at art, at other things that they can do and really thrive at. So the more opportunities we give our kids to be social and to thrive, and I don't really like the word assimilate, but to integrate within typical society, the more opportunities we're going to have them to be more successful in life. And I just see it, and I think a lot of our families are living proof of that, and it's beautiful to see. And hopefully more people will take us up on that and join us for more than just swim this fall.
Yeah. So is there any children that you won't take in the program?
Well, our program is specifically for ages 2 to 12. We do take older kids privately as well. As a business, we can't take anybody over the age of 18 as far as insurance reasons. However, unfortunately, we could not deal with or accept kids who are extremely aggressive or violent, either to themselves or to other kids. We're not behavior therapists, even though I think what we do really is therapy. We're not occupational therapists. We're not behavior therapists. And at the bottom line is we have to make sure that they're safe and that other children are safe.
Yes.
So in those situations, we try to give them private lessons and maybe put them away from other kids. But if we see an extreme case where it's just too aggressive in there and it's more of a struggle than anything else, we just ask the parents, let's take it a pause and let's come back in a few months. Cause we try everything. We ask, what are some ways that we can calm them down? What are some ways that help with them? And we do have a few kids who, I'd say once every 6 weeks has, an episode. And we work through it. Sometimes we just let them be away from everybody else in the pool and go through what they need to go through. Sometimes we hold them on the deck and that works. But kids who, unfortunately, it's a weekly or it's too consistent. Unfortunately, we wouldn't be able to, because I just don't feel like we have the means to address that and to help them. So those are the only kids we wouldn't be able to.
Okay. Okay. So you are a busy man. What do you do for self-care?
Self-care, last week was a different idea. This week it's harder because I've learned, especially with lose my voice over the weekend, I'm not doing much self-care because I keep going and going and going. But, I think what I am trying to find is that balance between being able to say, okay, my day's done. Let me watch a movie. Let me go to the gym. Let me work on my art, or just let me take a nap. And I used to feel guilty. I used to feel like if I do that, then I'm not paying attention to my job, or I need to answer this email. I need to answer this text. But I'm realizing as I get older and then I'm getting sick from not taking care of myself, I need to go back to the things I love. I'll tell you what I used to love before I started my own company. I used to love to read. I used to love to do, the movies and dinners with friends. But, self-care for me right now is just taking that extra moment at night and just breathing and just being really grateful and being very blessed. But I look forward to the day that self-care can go back to traveling, because I love to travel.
Yeah.
I love to travel the world. One of the main things I want to do is create little reaches all over the world, even if it's just like 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, and go do our thing. So hopefully one day we'll go back to that.
Dream big, man.
Exactly.
I love that about you. So that is pretty much it for today. But I want you to talk a little bit more about the program. Like, I know you still have some classes that are open. So can we give a little bit more details to the comadres in case they want to sign their kids up, and let them know when the season is starting? Just like more details.
Okay, so our swim season begins for the fall on September 11th. And it's a 10-week season. It goes from September 11th through November 20th. And we just do lessons on Sunday. We get to rent the whole pool out for our kids. We do not, pack the pool up. We only have 5 classes going at a time, so there's plenty of room for all the kids to learn. We start with ages 2, and the oldest we take for his group is 12, and then we can do private lessons from 13 and older. We just did an update. I think we have about 4 private lesson slots left and about 7 group slots left. The easiest thing you can do to find out what we have left is go to our website, reachacademy.nyc, or you can even go use reachswim.org. That still works, and it'll take you to the same site. And starting September 11th, 9 a.m. all the way up to 4:25, we have different classes, again, depending on your age group. And to sign up, just either send us an email, send me a text. You can do that from our website, or you can just go log on directly to our website and sign up from there. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm always available, as we discuss, email or text or phone call. But we'd love to see more of our kids who are new, especially our younger kids who need to start learning now, because real quickly, many kids, but one of our kids in particular, who last year at this time began with the parent-child class, just swam across the pool freestyle perfectly all day on Sunday. I mean, that's less than a year. I mean, and he's just 5. And so those kids, and that's an example of what can be. So start them young and start them early, and be consistent. And you'd be amazed by this time next year, you'll be at the DR having some fun and swimming with your kids.
Okay. And so that is pretty much it, comadres. As always, I'm going to end the show how I usually end it, which is follow me at Comadreando Pod. And you can follow Florencio on IG at Reach
Academy NYC.
Okay. And if you have any questions at all for me or Florencio, please feel free to send me a Comadre-Gram via email at marcy@comadreandopod.com. Remember to follow me on TikTok, on Facebook. I'm everywhere. And that is pretty much it. Thank you for spending time with your comadre and your compadre. Thank you, Florencio.
Thank you, everybody. Hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.